Hello, and welcome back to South Coast Busways, here at the Newport Garage with Southern Vectis, where it all began 2 years ago. This is almost the 2-year anniversary of the South Coast series, and it is also episode 100. So, with that in mind, let's have a look at how far we've come in the last 100 episodes. I believe everything started out, in fact I know everything started out here in Newport, with a network that we now brand the Newport 9s. And they were originally numbered the 901 through to the 903, and are now the 91 to the 93. You just got rid of the O. So, this was one of the first routes, the 91, from Newport Asda, which was a later extension. It was originally just Newport Town Centre, up to, what is that hospital? St Mary's Hospital. There we go. Then we had the 92, which is pretty much unchanged, running to Carisbrooke Clatterford Chute, and the 93 to Stapler's Buckley Lane, or Buckbury Lane. In the time since, we have added the 94 to Carisbrooke Gunville Crescent, and the 95 to Medina College, to the Newport 9s network, but since then, it's been largely unchanged. In fact, it has remained unchanged. The only thing that's changed is the allocations changed a bit, and we've introduced the branding to sort of, you know, be more branded and whatnot, and stuff, and things. So let's go through all of the routes that we have, that we've put in over the 2 years that this series has been running, and let's start with the Southern Vectis network, seeing as we're down here, with the first ever mainline route we put in, suitably branded the mainline, the one between Newport and Cowes. This runs up to every, I think it's 10 or 15 minutes, with some 11.5 metre Enviro 200 MMCs, and it's a good earner. It's a single decker route, so it's going to be just a good earner. It's never going to be fantastic. And then we have the 2 to go along with that, which runs up to East Cowes. Then we have the 3 from Newport to Ryde. This one's a very, very good earner. Does it do... what does the 2 do? The 2 does... okay, so the 1 does 55,000 a week. The 2 does 28,000 a week. The 3 does 74,000 a week. Then we have the 4, which does 40,000 a week, from Newport through to Ventnor via God's Hill and Wroxall. Then we have the 5 from Newport to Freshwater via Carisbrooke, Colborne, Newbridge, Ningwood, Yarmouth, Norton and Totland. That does 27,000. The 6, which is the most profitable line on the island, which runs from Ryde, up here. It has our Pride bus on it, which is very nice, through Brading, Sandown, Lake, Shanklin and Bournechurch to Ventnor. That does 115,000 in profit a week. Next it's the 7 from Ventnor to Freshwater via Whitwell, Knighton, Chale Green, Shorewell, Bryston, Brook, Freshwater Bay, Easton and Middleton. That does 24,000 a week in profit for those counting. Then we have the pairing of the 8 and the 8A, the 8 being a town service from Yarmouth to Freshwater Bay via Norton, Freshwater, Middleton and Easton, and the 8A being its connection at a lower frequency to Newport. The 8A is not particularly profitable, but it's fine. Then we have the 9 from Ventnor to Ryde via Wroxall, Shanklin, Lake, Sandown, Yeaverland, Bembridge, St Helens, Nettleston and Seaview. That is almost as profitable as the 6. They're within spitting distance of each other, which is good. Both routes have their place, clearly. Then we have the 10 from Newport to Sandown, which runs via... I don't know where that is, but that's where the 93 goes. Through Arreton, Winford, Lake, and terminating at Sandown Station via Sandown Town Centre. Then we have a local network in Cowes called the Mini Links. We have the 11 to the Park and Ride, the 12 to Northwood, the 13 to Gurnard, and the 14 to Cowes Primary School via basically as long of a way around as you can go without just starting to take the mick. Then we have the 15 from Newport to Shanklin via Newchurch, the far western side of Winford, and then just coming into Shanklin. The 21 from Newport to Wootton Woodside, which I've always considered to be an overperformer. Trying to arrest that one has been a bit of a challenge. But, you know, that was something of the early series that I was really struggling with. Then we have the 23 from East Cowes to Ryde, another one that used to be quite the overperformer, but these days has settled down quite nicely. Then we have the 32 from East Cowes to Wootton, another early game overperformer. Oh, and I've forgotten the Ryde local routes. So yes, we have the 31 from Ryde Tesco to Binstead, the 33 from Ryde Tesco to Seaview, the 34 from Ryde Tesco to Binstead again, the 37 from Ryde to Bembridge via Seaview, Nettleston, St Helens, and the 37 from Ryde to Ashy or Bembridge, which means that some buses terminate at Ashy, some buses continue all the way through to Bembridge via Brading. And is that all of... No, that's still not all of it for the island. Wow, the island's getting a very good service. We have the 49 from Newport to Sandown via Merston, Godshill, Shanklin and the western side of Lake. The 57 from Newport to Freshwater Bay via Shorewell, Bryston, Brook. Shorewell, Bryston and Brook. And the 59, which is another town service from Freshwater Bay to Totland via Freshwater. And then we do still have our school services. We have the 83, we are serving Ryde Academy with the 83, 84 and 88. The 83 runs from Wootton, the 84 from Westridge, and the 88 from Bembridge Marina. With the 86, 87 and 89, we are serving Sandown Bay Academy from St Helens, Bembridge and Wroxall. So that is... that's Southern Vectis. A good network making us good money. And a very good place to start, actually. If you're new to City Bus Manager and you want a good place to start in the UK that's going to be busy enough that you're going to have stuff to do, but it's not going to be so big that you're going to be in it for 2 years. I know, we've been in this, say, for 2 years, but it's because we've expanded elsewhere. But, you know, if you want to be able to say you've completed something and in not too long, go to the Isle of Wight. It's pretty good. And the data's pretty complete as well, which is always nice, because you can't always guarantee that, even now. But anywho, the next operation we set up was Solent Blue. So, let's go through in numerical order our Solent Blue services. We have the 1A and 1C in Portsmouth doing a city circular. We have the G1 doing a circuit of Gosport clockwise. I'll do the prefix networks in their big clumps. We have the 1A, 1C Portsmouth. Then we have the 2 from Old Portsmouth to Portsmouth University via Portsmouth City Centre. The 3 from the Park and Ride at Tipner to South Pier via Portsmouth City Centre and the seafront, which I assume is quite nice. Then we have the 4 from Portsmouth to Portsmouth Uni, bit more direct. The 5 from Portsmouth to Waterlooville via Portsmouth Centre, Hillsea, Corsham, Porchester's over there, Purbrook, and terminating at Waterlooville, just in the town centre. Oh, what's happened? Oh, what's happened? Oh dear, what's happened? It should be fine. Good. The 6, which is one of the more recent services from Portsmouth City Centre North to Paulsgrove via South Pier, nearly Portsmouth University. I can't remember what oh no, this is Fratton, isn't it? Yeah, duh. Because Fratton bus garage is around here somewhere. Then up through Hillsea and Corsham and terminating at Paulsgrove. Next is the 7 from the hard interchange through the city centre and down to the ferry over to Hayling Island at Eastney. Then we don't have an 8 or a 9, but we do have a 10 from Portsmouth up to Havant via the city centre, Fratton, Hillsea, Corsham, and terminating at Havant town centre. Oh, something I forgot about while we were on the island real quick. We have the night buses N13, N25, and N64, which, if you break down those numbers, they tell you where they go. The N13 is a nighttime combination of the 1 and 3. The N25 is a nighttime combination of the 2 and 5, and the N64 is a nighttime combination of the 6 and 4. Back to Solent Blue. Where was I? I just looked at the 10. We have the upcoming limited stop X15 from Portsmouth the Hard interchange up to Petersfield, which will extend probably up to Alton when we get that. Next we have a little local service in the form of the 29A, which is an adaptation of the local service 229 in Fareham, which we will come back to. Next is... we don't have many low numbers in this area, but we do have the 100, which is part of a network called, or a part of a couplet called the Solent Limited between Southampton and Portsmouth and Gosport. The 100 is the leg to Portsmouth, which runs limited stop through Hillsea, Porchester, Fareham, Titchfield, Swanwick, I can't remember where that is, and then into Southampton via Bittern Bridge. And from the 100 to the 101, an immediate and severe change of pace. It's a local town service. The 101 and 103 serve the Warrens. The 102 and 104 serve Purbrook and Horndean. The 105 and 107 serve High Lawn, while the 106 and 108 serve Crookhorn and Wecock. The scheme there, if you couldn't detect it, is that odd-numbered routes run in Havant, and even-numbered routes centre around Waterlooville. Then we have the service, the route 109, from Havant up to Denmead via Waterlooville. The 110 from Denmead to Havant, or Denmead to Hayling Island, where it connects up to the other side of the ferry, via Havant. Then we have the 111 from Fareham up to Eastleigh via everywhere, via Wickham, Shedfield, Waltham Chase, which sounds like it should be in Hertfordshire or Essex, Bishop's Waltham, Lower Upham, Fair Oak, Bishopstoke, and terminating just at Eastleigh bus station. We have some more local services. We have the 112 from Mill Hill to Lovedene, the 113 to Lee Park, and the 116 from Purbrook to Horndene, which pairs, I guess, with the mainline route 115 from Portsmouth to Clanfield, which is one of the most profitable routes on the network, making us £264,000 a week in pure profit. Then, pairing with the 113, we have the 117 to Lee Park. The 118 runs from Waterlooville up to Clanfield via Catherington rather than Horndene. The 120 runs from Havant to Mengham, which is, you know, this is like the 120 and the 110 basically serve Hayling Island together. The 120 linking with the ferry, and the 110, the 110 just doing the ferry, and the 120 linking specifically into Mengham, which is the main town on the island. Then we have the 130, which is a recent addition, I think, from Havant up to Eastleigh, via Southwick, North Borant, Wickham, Shedfield, Shirrell Heath, Swanmore, Bishop's Waltham, Lower Upham, Fisher's Pond, Colden Common, Brambridge, Highbridge, and Ulbrook. Then, skipping a bunch of numbers, we have the other half of the Solent Limited couplet from Gosport to Southampton via Stubbington, Titchfield, Swanwick, Bitton, and the Bitton Bridge into Southampton. And back to another town service sort of thing. This is the 201 from Gosport to Stubbington Green. We also have the 202 to Lee on the Solent, the 203 to Rowner, 203 and 204 to Rowner. Then there's the 206 from Gosport to the Nimrod Estate. And mainline services, we have the 205 up to Fareham using the normal road, and I specify that because the next set of routes uses this thing. This is a busway that I don't know the name of, but first brand it as the Eclipse. I call it the Greenway, because every bus that uses this is a hybrid. So we have the 210 that just runs up to Fareham, the 210 that uses the Greenway to do a town service to Nobes Avenue, and then there is the 214 that runs up the Greenway to the Orchard Lee Estate in Fareham, while the 215 serves the Hill Park Estate in Fareham, which is right next to it. Then there's the big Greenway service, the 220, that runs from Gosport to Portsmouth via Fareham, Porchester, and Cosham. Now, I skipped over the 212 because that's a regular bus route between Stubbington and Fareham. But now we get into the more mainline services. This is the 222 from Gosport to Whiteley Village, which we'll get to the stuff in that area when we get to the prefix services. That's what they're called. But first, Fareham's local town services are the 225 to Orchard Lee, the 226 to Hill Park, the 227 to Ranvilles, the 228 to Caddisfield, and the 229 to Speedfields, which is where the 29A comes in. Because of the way this estate works, you can only really go around it one way on a route like this, that goes beyond it. so the 29A exists to go around it the other way and serves the estate exclusively. It's because of the way this junction's laid out. This is not a proper roundabout, which makes life incredibly awkward. Anywho, I skipped over... What did I skip over? I didn't skip over anything. We have the 230 then, from Fareham up to Bishop's Waltham via Swanmore, Shirrell Heath, Wickham, Knowle and Funtley. And I think that's the end of Solent Blue's regular services. Winchester, I think, is Solent Red. Let me check. I'll get back to depots and fleets later, but I just want to check. Bar End, which is the Winchester depot, is Solent Red, so we're not doing the King City network just yet. Remember to hydrate, because I've been talking non-stop for the last 21 minutes. It takes its toll. But prefix route networks, i.e. these routes that have a letter before their number. In Gosport we have the G1 and G2, which are Gosport Town Circulars. What else do we have in terms of prefix route networks under Solent Blue? I believe it is just the Portchester, which has the P1 and P2 doing a circuit around this part of Portchester. Then we have the P3 to Water's Edge Park, the P4 to Paulsgrove, and the P5 to Paulsgrove a different way. I believe that is all of Solent Blue. So next is to look at... I'm just making sure of something. I'm just making sure that I've absolutely done everything Solent Blue wise here. Yeah, we've done the 130, we've done the 120. I believe we have. Which means it's time to head over to Solent Red. I believe the biggest operation on the map at the moment. Starting, of course, with the one from Southampton to Salisbury, not Salisbury, Romsey, which is branded as the Romsey Rocket, which uses an interesting type of bus in the Volvo B9TL with Enviro 400 bodywork. There were three made, or three of them were put into service with Go Ahead London. I don't know where they are now, but East Yorkshire still have some, and Dublin Bus still have some, so they were a thing. On, however, to the 2, which runs from Southampton to Eastleigh. Then the X2, which runs from Southampton to Winchester via Eastleigh. It's a very nice long route. Then there's the 3 from Southampton to Chandler's Ford. It runs all the way to the top of Chandler's Ford. And the X3 extends that up to Winchester. Then there's the 4 from Southampton to Hedge End via West End. And Bitton. Bitton and West End, not West End and Bitton. Is there a 5? There is a 5. Oh yes, of course there's a 5. It's a cross-town service from Cornwall through Southampton city centre to Hamble via Netley and Butlocks Heath. Then the X5 runs from Southampton city centre, limited stop through Cornwall, and continues rather fast up to Salisbury. Next we have the 6, which runs from Southampton to Calshot via Totton, Elling, Marchwood, Dibden, Hythe, Hardley, Holbury and Fawley. Then there's the 7 from Southampton to Lyndhurst via Totton, Elling, Hunsdown, Ashurst. The 8 from Southampton to Cadnam, which goes via, where is that? Shirley. Yeah, from Southampton to Cadnam via Shirley, Totton, West Totton, Netley Marsh and Bartley. Then there is the X8 that runs to Salisbury via Cadnam and Redlinch, Downton and Bodenham, which I'm almost 100% certain is where the OMSI map got its name inspiration from. But my pontification about OMSI map names aside, here is the 9 from Southampton to Swanwick, which also uses the Volvo B90L Enviro 400s. The 10 is another crosstown from Hedge-End to Cornwall via Bittern, Bittern Bridge, Southampton City Centre and Totton. While the 11 runs up to Lords Hill and the 12 runs to Shirley Warren via everywhere. The 12's an absolute mess. Mostly because of this area up here I wanted to serve very, very well. And I did. But we have the 13, which makes a little bit more sense, running from Southampton City Centre to Romsey via Chilworth and North Baddesley. Then there is the 14, which is an inner crosstown from the Bannisters Park Estate to Weston. And then the 19, which is a fully sort of suburban route from Romsey to Southampton General Hospital via the southern side of North Baddesley and Rownhams. Then we leave Southampton for a bit with the 21 from Romsey to Bishopstoke via Crampmore, Ampfield and Crampmore, Ampfield, Chandlersford and Eastleigh. Then there's the 21A, which is a town service in the Chandlersford Eastleigh area from Bishopstoke to Millersdale. Millersdale up here, Bishopstoke over here. Then there's the 23 from Romsey to Eastleigh. Eastleigh sort of more towards Albrook via North Baddesley. And the 23A is the town service part that extends it to Colden Common, but cuts it back to Knightwood Park on the western end. Back into Southampton we have the 30, which runs between the city centre and Glenire Halls for Southampton University. This route also therefore serves as the connection between Glenire Halls and the university. University being there, so Glenire Hall's really not that far. Then we have the 33 from Chandlersford to West End, providing a probably quite useful orbital connection in the south or in the north of Southampton, as well as a connection to Southampton University from Chandlersford. Then there's the 34 from Southampton Hospital to Hedge-End via Southampton University and West End and Hedge-End Station. Then there's the 35, which is a fairly recent addition, from Southampton Central Station to Bishop's Waltham via West End and Durley. This uses some brand new Scania fences, which, you know, I feel like that's worth pointing out because the Fencer is a very nice bus. And this is the 36, running from Millbrook to Bittern. Bittern being sort of here, and then it runs into this estate, which I believe is called Merry Oak. And then it runs via the Southampton University and Southampton General Hospital to Millbrook. Then there's the 37 from Weston up to the University. The 38 from Woolston to Swanwick via Hedge-End, Botley and Curbridge. The 39 from Waterside Park to Hatch Grange. I don't know where either of those points are. As well as the 54 from Hamble to Hedge-End. I know Hamble is there and Hedge-End is there. And that running specifically to Hedge-End Station. Next is the 59 to 59 from Woolston to Thornhill, and the 61 from Southampton to Langley via Totton, Elling, Marchwood, Hythe, Dibden, Purley, Holbury and Blackfield. Next is the 122 from Bishopstoke to Toynbee's School via Eastleigh and Chandlersford. The 124 from Colden Common to Millersdale via Eastleigh and Chandlersford. The 125 from Knightswood Park to Peverils Wood via Chandlersford Town Centre. And the 191 starts off the Cornwall Connect network from Ashurst to Cornwall Morrisons. The 192 runs from Cornwall Morrisons to Bartley via Windsor and Cadnam, while the 193 runs from Cornwall to Hunsdown, the 194 from Cornwall to Elling, the 194 from Cornwall to Testbourne, and the 196 from Cornwall to Hunsdown Post Office. Is that all of Solent Red? I think that's all of the regular Solent Red network. We do have a lot of prefix networks with Solent Red, so I'll have to rattle through those, especially because some of those are quite large. Indeed. So let's start with the King's City network up in Winchester. Here's Winchester, isn't it lovely? So we're going to start with the K1 from Badger's Farm to Springvale, Badger's Farm down here, Springvale up there, running via Winchester and Kingsworthy. Then there is the K2 from Oliver's Battery to Fairdown. I don't know where either of those are. The K3 from Teg Down, which I know is over there, because how do you forget a place like Teg Down, to Kingsworthy via Winchester City Centre, because Winchester is a city, not a town. Then the K4 from Littleton to St Cross via Winchester City Centre again. The K5 from Harestock to Twyford via Winchester City Centre, if that needed to be said. The K6 from Sparsholt College to Fairdown. The K7 from Barton Farm to Hursley IBM. And the KX between Bar End and Compton Park and Ride facilities, running limited stop through Winchester via the hospital, station and city centre. Next we have the Romsey network, which is branded as the Romsey Runners, with the R1 and R2 going to North Baddesley, the R3 and R4 serving Abbotswood Common, the R5 serving Whiteknap, the R6 and R7 serving Crampmore and Holterworth in big loops, and the R8 serving Woodley. There is also the RX, which is a little shuttle between Romsey Station and Romsey Town Centre. Next, for Solent Red, is the Salisbury Spark network, which has our first electric buses on the map. Starting with the S1 from Westwood to Salisbury Hospital, the S2 from Bemerton Heath to Ford via Salisbury City Centre and Laverstock, the S3 from Bulbridge to Hampton Park, the S4 from Harnham to Long Edge, the S5 from Salisbury Hospital to Old Sarum via Odstock, Homington, Coombe Bissett and Salisbury City Centre, the S6 from Harnham Hill to Castle Hill, the S7 from Salisbury Hospital to Bishopdown, the S8 from Salisbury Station to Whaddon, the S9 from Stratford Sub-Castle to Salisbury Hospital, and the SX, another limited stop park and ride shuttle between Britford and Beehive Park and Ride facilities via Salisbury City Centre. This network uses 50 Wright Street Airs, a bus they didn't build in huge numbers, but you know, they used them, and they were an electric bus that we have in the game in 2019, so of course I wanted to use them. And that brings us down here to a network that has grown a lot very quickly, and it's sort of two networks in one. We have the New Forest network over here that is sort of owned by Jurassic County, even though Jurassic County by name is in Dorset and the New Forest is in Hampshire. So Jurassic County should really be under Solent Red, but I wanted them to be under, New Forest should really be under Solent Red, but I wanted them to be under Jurassic County, so here we are. This is not a democracy. I make the rules. But anyway, we are actually starting with Jurassic County in Dorset, with the one from Christchurch over to Poole, which is another route couplet. The 1 and the 2 follow basically the same corridor, but they do slightly different things at their extremities, which forms a high-frequency corridor between Bournemouth and Poole town centres. See, the 2 goes over to Hamworthy, but it pulls off of the 1 to go to Bournemouth Station, whereas the 1 terminates in Poole, but goes all the way out to Christchurch. I believe between Bournemouth and Poole town centres there is a bus every 6 minutes or so, which is very good. Then there is the 3 from Bournemouth to Verwood, which is up there, with 24-hour service running as far as Ferndown. Then there is, therefore, from Poole to Wimborne Minster. Is there a 5? There is a 5. That's a new route from Westbourne to Wimborne Minster. Is there a 6? There isn't a 6, but there is a 7. From Bournemouth Alum Chine over to Christchurch. There is a 9 from Bournemouth down to Sandbanks. An 11 from Bournemouth up to Throop. An 11A, which runs on Sundays only, from Throop to Castle Point. The 12 from Bournemouth to Castle Point. The 13 from Littledown to Talbot Village. The 30 from Bournemouth to Hengesbury Head. The 31 from Boscombe to Hengesbury Head. The 32 from Boscombe to Wick. The 37 from Castle Point to Littledown. The 38 from Boscombe to Littledown. And that's when we start getting into the New Forest. So I'm going to head back to, I think here is where it starts. I think so. Oh, actually, I want to point out the X4 from Bournemouth up to Salisbury via Ringwood, Ibsley, Fordingbridge, Braymore, Downton, and Bodenham. Now we go across to the New Forest, where we have the 37A and 37C that form a loop from Lymington around the sort of southern side of the forest, through Boulder, Norleywood, and East End. The 37A goes anti-clockwise, the 37C goes clockwise. Then we have the X37 from Lymington up to Southampton. Come on. Then, everything's in the 300s, I believe. We have the 307 from Lymington to Bournemouth, which is very long. The 336, Pennington Circular, A 337 from Lymington to Barton via Sway and New Milton. The 338 Brockenhurst Town Service. The 339 Buckland Circular. The 356 from Lyndhurst to Hythe. There's Lyndhurst, comes down to Bewley and up to Hythe. A 360 from Hythe to Lymington via Bewley. The 361 from Exbury to Fawley. This is Exbury over here. Then down, up through Langley, Blackfield and terminating at Fawley. The 365 from Brockenhurst to Hythe. And I've the 378 from Lyndhurst up to Caddenham, and I have forgotten about a few local services operated by Jurassic County proper. We have the 342 from Warren Walk to Parley Cross. Warren Walk's up here, goes through Ferndown and West Parley to Parley Cross. Then there's the 343 from Turbury Road to Amesford Road via Ferndown. And I guess to cap things, nope, not to cap things off, because I've forgotten about another network of prefix services. The University Bus Services in Bournemouth Uni, or to Bournemouth Uni, and I've forgotten about the W network, so will be a bit longer. The W1 from Bournemouth up to Talbot Village. Not W, the U1. The U2 from Poole to Bournemouth Uni. The U3 from Ferndown to the Uni. And the U7 from Christchurch. Next is another express couplet, the Dorset Limited from Southampton to Bournemouth and Poole, with 300 running to Bournemouth and the 400 running to Poole. There is also the X7 from Ringwood to Southampton, that is operated by New Forest Busways at Ringwood. And yeah, the W network, I need to get that done. That's part of Solent Blue. I forgot about it because it's yellow, which is the colour of Jurassic County. So we have the W1 from Bishop's Waltham to Walsash via Curdridge, Whiteley, Swanwick and Park Gate, which is Swanwick Town Centre. It's called Park Gate for some reason. Then there's the W2 from Swanwick Station to Curbridge via Whiteley Village. The W3 from Botley Station. No. From Whiteley Village to Bursledon. That needs changing. The W4 from Hedge End to Titchfield via Whiteley Village and Swanwick. And the W5 from Whiteley Village all the way up to Winchester. And one route that I did forget about with Jurassic County, we have the N1 night bus from Hamworthy to Christchurch. It basically merges the 1 and the 2 together overnight, so that both routes run overnight but only need to have one route to keep things simple. So that is the network that we've built up over the last 2 years. I'm going to return to these gorgeous things because they represent the latest livery that we have, because this series, if you remember the very, very start, did not have a brand in its very early days. It took me a good few episodes to work out what I wanted the Southern Vectis brand to look like, and I had no sort of concept that it was going to be a national scale entity in the form of National Busways that, you know, would have history. I was like, this is going to be a nice series, it'll take me a few months, I will cover all of the island and I'll be very happy. And then I found out that the game was actually really, really fun. and I've been playing it and playing it and playing it and playing it for the last 2 years, to the point that running through the route network takes 45 minutes. Hopefully I've been able to edit out a bit of that for you. But that's start, not X. Garages. What does our fleet look like? We have 194 buses at Newport on the Isle of Wight, which is our main garage, or our home base, if you will. We have 15 at the Ride Out station. We have 84 at Wingate Road, which is the Greenway garage in Gosport. We have 94 at Southampton City, which is the Solent Red, one of the main Solent Red garages. 53 at Gosport main garage. 80 at Standard Way in Fareham. 92 at Southampton Maritime. 60 at Eastleigh. 80 at Fratton. 84 at Southampton Maritime Shed 2. 58 at Lymington for New Forest Green. 42 at Hilly Fields. 76 at Hedge End. Those two sort of being suburban garages in Southampton, sort of ish. 64 at Bar End in Winchester. 44 at Ringwood. 99 at Mallard Road, which is Jurassic County, as is Ringwood technically, because it's New Forest Greens. 62 at Fitzwigram Way, which is between Havant and Waterlooville. 50 at Salisbury for the Spark Network, and 60 at Mallard Road Shed 2 with Jurassic County, which gives us a total fleet size of 1,391. That is what spending 2 years in City Bus Manager will get you. 200 and how many routes? 217 routes. That's what I did that to find out. So yes. Happy New Year, everyone, and I will see you on Thursday from the interim series, because if you didn't catch it, if you don't watch West Scotland, you might want to tune in on Thursday anyway, because we're going to be doing something a little bit different, because West Scotland has been proving a bit problematic lately, because its fleet is even bigger and it causes even more problems, in terms of like RAM usage and system resources generally. For some reason South Coast is better. I don't know how, but it is. So yes, if West Scotland hasn't interested you, you might want to check out what happens on Thursday, because it's going to be something a little bit different while West Scotland goes on a break. But for now, I will see you next week from the South Coast. Bye bye.